Hello and welcome to the GonzoEwok channel. I'm Gonzo.
I'm Ewok.
And today we're going to be playing a little bit of Kerbal Space Program, or should we say, Geordie Space Program.
Whee!
Would you like to give us a little rundown of exactly what we're going to be looking to do over the next hour or so, Ewok?
Yep, well, we'll probably not achieve it in the next hour or so, but we'll try and do an hour today. I think what we're intending to do is take one of our little green Kerbal dudes, like this little fella here, and we're going to try and get him to the moon and get him back from the moon. That's the important part, get him back from the moon.
All in the name of Geordie Science. And I suppose really the main thing that we should explain is that, well, I picked up Kerbal Space Program just before Christmas. I had a bit of time off work, so picked it up, maybe sank about 15-20 hours into it. It's very rare that I can get something into orbit. I've managed to come into contact with the moon, but at great speed, and destroying several Kerbals in the process. Ewok, what about yourself?
I bought it at Christmas in the Steam holiday sales. I didn't pick it up until about a week and a half ago. I've put about 8 hours into it so far. I can get into an orbit sometimes. I have done 2 loops around the moon and 3 crashes directly into the face of the moon.
So I think really what we're trying to say is that anybody watching this video, just to manage your expectations, neither of us are a fucking Scott Manley or like a half type person. You're not going to see pro Kerbal Space Program gameplay here.
But if you want to see pro Kerbal Space gameplay programming, then there is game play.
Try that again.
I'll try that again. There are gameplay videos out there of people who really know their shit when it comes to the game and can build some pretty epic stuff. We're just going to be strapping a couple of fucking rockets together and shooting them up in the sky and hoping for the best.
Effectively launching penises into the stratosphere is the way this is probably going to go. So, right.
Okay. Ground rules, okay? So we're going to try and get to the moon and back. To make it a little bit of a challenge, we are going to do so using the... I have to start a new game. We're going to use career mode rather than sandbox mode. In sandbox mode, you've got absolutely everything you need unlocked from the very beginning. In career mode, you've got to unlock things as you go by doing scientific research. So we're going to hinder ourselves before we even start by limiting the stuff that we've got available to us.
To be honest, that probably kind of works in our favour. I mean, my own experience of playing sandboxes, there's that much stuff, and without any real understanding of, you know, rocket science in general, I find it's kind of like information overload. There's so many bits and pieces that are going on there, I don't even know where to start. So
yeah, I mean, at least this way we can sort of stagger into it and explain what we're doing as we're doing it.
If we even know what we're doing, because again, this is just kind of grasping wildly out into the stars, really.
You'll see the note there, this mode is still under development. It is very bare bones career. There's a lot of stuff that's clearly not in there yet. There's a lot of stuff that's sort of got hints that it's going to be in there but isn't there yet. Like, every rocket has a cost part, but there is in fact no currency in the game yet, so it doesn't actually mean anything. Second rule, we are never going to abort a launch. Just by tapping the escape key you can loop back to a previous point in the launch or take a rocket back to the assembly line. We're going to see every launch through for good or ill. I guess we'll crack on then, eh?
Fantastic.
That's enough rules. 2 rules.
2 rules. 2 rules. Get to the fucking moon. No ifs or buts about it.
Right. So here we are at Kerbal Command Center. We've got a few interesting buildings here. We've got the little observation station here. This is where you'll see all the missions that you've got going in progress, and you can see the various things that you've got in orbit or in another area of space. Let's
be honest, we're never going to return to that screen, though.
Yeah, we're never. Well, unless we've got to recover a rocket at some point.
Yeah, if we're going to recover something, though, that suggests that it's not going to explode and just leave a massive skid mark on the face of Kerbin, though.
I don't know. I've landed things successfully. I landed one the other day. It was cracking. I forgot to put parachute on it. But I still managed to land the bastard just using the rockets to slow myself
See
down.
The rest of YouTube, the rest of the internet, this is what you're fucking with when it comes to Geordies in space.
Yeah, forgot to put the parachute on.
Land without a parachute because we're hardcore.
Research and development, we'll nip here later on. That's where we can unlock new stuff when we've got the research options. No doubt the astronaut complex will be somewhere we go soon, because that's where we'll go when we need to replenish our diminishing ranks of Kerbals.
Do we know if there's like an unlimited supply, or...?
I believe there's an unlimited supply. I'm sure I read somewhere that there's like thousands and thousands of potential name combinations.
I'm imagining something a bit like, can you remember playing Cannon Fodder, when you used to just have like all the new recruits coming over the hill, just standing at the door like, come on, get us killed?
That was an awesome game.
It was, yeah.
As a side note. We've got the space plane hangar here where you can build things for takeoff on a runway. I have succeeded in building one space plane in my time. It could just about take off. It had to reach the end of the runway where there's a slight dip, because it couldn't take off.
Sort of like a carrier kind of take off.
I flew it for about 20 minutes and got about 300 yards away from the actual complex itself. It couldn't go directly up, it could sort of vaguely go forward. The vehicle assembly building, that's for your rockets to go straight up in the air, and there we go, there's your launch pad. So first stop's going to be vehicle assembly building to build our very first rocket.
No, I think it's worth pointing out that I've watched like other tutorials on Kerbal Space Program, and particularly I think with career mode being sort of fairly new out, an easy way to get your hands on science, my understanding, is you just put something on the launch pad there, you can get out and do a few tests and grab science. But I mean, that seems like a bit of a cheats way to
yeah, I mean, we'll be getting some science on the way in terms of what we do, but we're not going to sort of delay things by just sitting around on the launch pad.
I suppose in a true northeastern fashion, if we'll get our hands on some science, or we'll get our hands on some goodies while we're having a bit of a mess round, all the better.
Right, so this is where we'll start constructing our machine. You've got the various different tabs at the top that bring you into different parts of the spacecraft and what they do. So we start off with pods. Everything starts off with a command pod. This is our basic command pod. It holds one Kerbal. It's a bit shit, but it's what we've got to start with. No option there.
I love the fact as well that kind of as we're kind of commenting on this as well, we're kind of doing it as though like it is a tutorial, and let's be honest, neither of us are in any way, shape or form fit to be doing a tutorial on
I'm sure
KSP.
It'll work. I'm sure it'll work out fine. I mean, really, I'm just sort of talking myself through it so I can remember what I'm doing.
Right, okay.
This time I'm going to take a parachute here, and I'm going to stick it on the top so that we can land. So you'll see that you can rotate around it. You've got these various green points, and that's where you can attach stuff to it. So we're going to stick this parachute right on the top. Bam, nice.
I've just thought as well, we didn't say when we first started as well, I should point out that it's actually Ewok that's controlling this. If you've watched any of our earlier Project Zomboid videos, that was me, Gonzo, playing. But really, I'm just kind of throwing that out there as a disclaimer, because I want to be in no way connected to exactly what's going to happen to these poor little Kerbals. I'm just sitting back and just...
Whereas your Zomboid playthrough was just pure professional gamer all the way, you didn't cock up once.
It went alright, I mean, we've still got Nuno Sasage kind of, you know, holed up in his house. We'll be making a return to that at some point, I'm sure, as well.
But today we get to see my ineptitude.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, off the back of that as well, I've had a terrible sinus infection since Christmas, so we were going to do a little bit of recording last week. Just didn't happen. I spent most of my time with my head sticking in a steam bath as well, trying not to die. So,
and you sound lovely at the moment.
I'm sure, yeah. Nice husky tones to my voice here as well.
I've forgotten how basic your starting equipment was when you first come out of the career mode. So we've basically got two types of fuel here, and we've got liquid fuel, which is probably the most useful. It's more controllable. You can control your levels of thrust, and you can manage it a little bit better that way. That's what you'll be using for the majority of your operations. You've got solid fuel on this side. That is totally uncontrollable. Once turned on, it will burn at full until it's empty. That's what you tend to use to get off the ground, because although it's less controllable, you get a lot more thrust out of it, so you get a lot more bang for your buck.
I think we should just strap maybe 30 of those to your capsule here, and that'll get we're there, no doubt.
No, I'm determined to make a good effort the first time. So
this is Geordie Space Program. It should be all about the thrust, if anything.
I'm going to put a tiny little canister there with one engine, and oh no, we've got no decouplers. Which means we can't shoot off the excess weight as we go up.
Right, okay then, so change of plans here then. Basically, what we're going to have to do to start with is we are going to need science, but we don't want to be all kind of like namby-pamby about it and just go out onto the launch pad and grab cheap science. So maybe if we're say to start with, then we're going to have to get ourselves high enough into space, maybe with some of the little goo canister things, and then just see if we can open them, and that might give us some cheap science.
You don't start with goo canisters. We're going to have to do some standard reporting first.
Right, okay.
But before we do that, I've stuck all my liquid rockets on, or all my liquid fuels on. I've stuck a nice big booster on the end of it to give it a big whirl. Little bit here. When you're sticking stuff on, it's important to keep your rocket symmetrical, otherwise it's going to spin out of control. So what you can do here, which is handy, you can stick down here, symmetry mode. You can turn that to 2, 3, 4. Then when you try and attach things, it'll give you a nice symmetrical balance. I'm going to stick 2 solid fuel thrusters on this one.
Seems a bit weak to me, if you're going to ask in my opinion.
Well, if we don't get into space, we don't get into space, mate. But this is very much the that's not going to work, is it? Because it's going to be balancing on there.
I'd like to
frames. We need to stick that down here. So on the launch pad. Oh, this is not going well already. Okay. Yeah, do you think that'll be alright? It does look a bit cock-like already.
They always look cock-like.
They always end up looking cock-like. Right. So solid fuel, liquid fuel. There's that. You didn't come here to see me building rockets. You came here to see me killing Kerbals.
We need to give ourselves a name. So now we need to put ourselves on the spot and come up with something hilariously witty.
The socket rocket.
All right.
Or the.
I suppose.
Rock it.
Right.
Okay, that'll do.
We should have probably gotten ourselves a little kind of like custom flag or something if we do kind of carry on with this in a little bit of time. You know, I know that you could put like a custom flag in there. We should see if we can find something simply misogynist, alcoholic and misogynistic.
We'll stick the trippy one
playing up the stereotype.
Just to nip over to my crew to show you the guy that'll be piloting it, we've got Jebediah Kerbal here. This may be his last ever flight. We'll see how it goes.
You know,
it can't go that bad. I've got a.
You've got a parachute. I haven't got a decoupler, but you've got a parachute. There's a good point, though. You're not actually going to be able... That parachute's going to do jack shit. If we can't detach all of this this stuff, what's the point in the parachute?
It'll be fine. I'll tell you what. I'll stick another parachute on each of them.
There we go. So we've nubs on the bollocks.
I don't expect that this thing's going to come down intact. I'm just hoping that the command module and...
Yeah, engine's missing off the bottom as well. You seem to have lost that, just as a consultancy here. You know, I mean, with my 20 hours in, I'm the fucking expert. So
that's helpful.
Usually rockets help when you're doing rocket science.
Should we just launch this fucker and see where we go?
I just pointed at the sun.
Okay.
Oh.
Right. The socket rocket is ready to launch.
Cocket rocket, more like it.
So I am going to press the R and T button to get my SAS and RCS. I'm not.
No, I've seen a lot of people do that.
SAS seems to sort of stop you spinning out of control.
I think RCS is if you've got the little booster things. Yeah. But frankly, I mean, I've seen a lot of people who know what they're doing have pressed those buttons, so it must be a good thing to do, frankly.
I've never used the boosters that I think RCS links to, but I turn it on because the green light reassures me.
Yeah, there we go. More green lights and less red lights.
You might have noticed on the throttle on the left-hand side there that I've turned my throttle up to full to start with, because I want to get a good solid burst. We've got 3 engines. There's no point firing 2. It's wobbling a bit, isn't it? Oh shit! Shoot fire!
You've yeah, I was just about to say that if you weren't getting all fucking handy there as well.
I had the parachute.
What is that? What is that? Well, he's dead. You know, I've seen people who've played for years solid and they've kept them alive. He's lasted about 15 fucking seconds and now he's about to hit the earth like a dart.
It's fine. I'm gonna.
He survived! Get in! There we go. Right. Okay.
Okay, that was a bit of a disaster.
I think you should do a crew report, though. I mean, we've learned valuable information.
So to get some science from here, first of all, we're going to do a crew report where Jebediah is going to give his experiences of what just happened. As you can see, we've got a measly 1.5 science out of that because we are, in fact, still where we started. So I'm going to keep that data. And then I'm going to have him exit.
So you are going to be a namby-pamby and farm some science there, just kind of walk around and take soil samples and whatnot.
Well, we're here, we might as well. It's not like I did this intentionally. So there's Jebediah. He's looking quite happy for a guy who's been involved in a massive explosion.
He is still alive.
So he's going to take a surface sample. That gives us some science. We'll keep that. He's going to do environmental suit report. Don't think a spacesuit was entirely necessary to get here. And I think to record this momentous occasion, we're going to plant a flag at the point of our first successful landing. So we'll call this landing spot alpha. Text that went fucking well. Didn't it?
There we go.
And then we'll get back into our space
Capsule.
And we will recover the vessel intact. This is going pretty well so far. Well, there we go. We've earned 17.9 science. I think that's not bad for the first run out. So let's see if we can afford anything from the science centre at this point. Yeah, we only need 5 science. We can get some more fuel tanks.
We'll get the
mystery goo containment unit, and we can get the decoupler. So we're really in business now. That's what we needed to get started. What's that leave us?
We've got 12.
We need 15 to get the next round of stuff. But you know, I'm feeling like that went well. I'm sure you don't.
I disagree.
You don't want to control this.
Definitely not.
Okay, let's make some adjustments to the socket rocket. First of all, in line with Gonzo's point, what we're going to do is we're going to go down here. These are the stages. So we're going to put the rocket on a separate stage from the parachute. That means the first time I press space, the rockets will go off. The second time I press space, the parachute will go off. So...
Right. Yeah, if only I managed to get those words out quick enough.
Yeah.
Coming up to that initial launch, which I'll kind of go on record and disagree with you and say that didn't go well. It was a fucking travesty.
Well, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this section of the spaceship off. I'm going to add another engine. So this is going to be what hopefully gets us above the planet, and then I'm going to use this to stabilise us and get us into orbit. So I've got 2 separate parts. So when we're done with this part, we're going to want to get rid of it. So to do that, we stick the decoupler on, and then we attach that back there, and the penis just gets longer.
There we go.
And when I fire the decoupler, which I don't want to be in the first stage because that's just going to shoot the rocket in half on the launch pad. When I fire the decoupler, it's going to jettison this, get rid of that, and then this second bit can go on its own.
Probably want to make another stage there as well for the
I'm going to add the parachute.
I'm just thinking as well, because obviously we aren't going to have great fuel tanks, we haven't got great engines, so you know.
I'm saying this is a bit of a test run, so we'll see how this fuel does at getting us into space. I'm trying to throw things away from there, but I need to go on the rocket. So if this gets us anywhere near where we need to be, right? I think everything's lined up. So
I think before we launch it, just on the off chance, we could maybe attach a couple of those goo canisters as well. I know it adds a bit of weight. You know, if we get ourselves like a couple of 1,000 meters up in the sky.
Now, for me, having 2 is a waste of time because it doesn't give you any particular extra science. Although you could do 2 experiments.
Yeah, I was thinking, you know, low orbit and then sort of getting up higher.
Even so, even if you don't think you're going to need to, stick 2 on, otherwise it's going to knock your balance off and you're going to start twisting around when you get up.
And you look like a right spanner.
Here's my launch order. First time I press spacebar, the 3 engines are going to kick in. And when I first started playing it, I used to fire off the solid engines first and then jettison them and fire off the liquid engines. But I'm starting to think that might not be the best way forward. If you've got the engines there and they can be used, you might as well get all that thrust straight away. But we'll see. We'll see if this goes worse or better than usual. Second time I press spacebar, the decoupler's going to fire. This is going to fall away, leaving us with just this section, and that second engine's going to start firing. Third time I press it, it's going to deploy the parachute. Hopefully we'll be heading back to Earth or Kerbal at that point. I could stick a communicator on just in case we don't come back. A communicator means you can transmit your scientific research. But no, we're going to come back.
We should probably, again, the name, maybe the Socket Rocket Mark II. There we go.
Are we going to send Jebediah again? Or are we going to send somebody else?
I've no idea what the courage or the stupidity actually does, if it has any kind of gameplay effect.
Well, this guy's particularly stupid, so let's send him. I'm not sure either. I can't imagine it would. At this stage, it doesn't seem to fit in anything. It's probably one of the planned features for the future.
Maybe, yeah, just like a bit of flavour sort of thing.
I mean, like I was saying, you can see on these that there's a cost associated with each of the points down in the yellow writing at the bottom there, but
yeah, but there's no budget
as yet that doesn't really do anything.
And even if there was, I would still suggest that we mod them out for the sake of Geordie Space Program, because obviously the Geordie Space Program is incredibly well funded.
So really, yeah, absolutely. I mean, money is no object.
We've got money and astronauts to burn, quite literally.
Okay, I'm going to try and launch this. It's probably not the best design, but
just take a quick sip of the old coffee as well.
It's what I call it's the test shuttle. Okay, press the R and T button to get the old green lights on.
Yep.
Thrust up to maximum. Ready to launch. Nothing disastrous is going to happen
May
this
God
time.
save us all. That's going quick and slightly cockeyed over the left, maybe?
It's fine, it's gone a little bit wonky, but we're more or less going straight up. The fuel is running low and starting to overheat. It's probably not a great idea to have the liquid engine right next to there. And we've got no way of jettisoning it, so if it overheats it will explode. Okay, future lesson for next time, we've got way more liquid fuel in that tank when we do solid fuel. So now the solid fuel's out, we're just carrying that dead weight.
But I didn't have any way to get rid of them yet, did we? So maybe try one of the goo tanks. We're getting up fairly high. Maybe give that a little right click and.
Yeah, I'll fire that one up and we'll observe the mystery goo and we'll get some. The goo wobbles and jiggles. That's 7 science if we make it back alive. Second engine's out. So jettison that.
Now we are getting very high up, so maybe we should try tilting a little bit and maybe going into a bit of a...
Yeah, at this stage you generally want to tilt about 45 degrees on the 90-degree arc on the nav ball here, because that puts you in orbit with the moon, which is handy.
I'll be honest as well, playing this on your machine compared to mine, it looks way nicer playing on your gaming rig than it does on my little potato.
If I nip into the map here, we can see that I've projected... Oh my god, I really didn't think we were going to get that high. It must be because we're so much lighter. We could have got into orbit here. Now usually I've got a much heavier rocket, but when we reach 30,000 feet, we're nowhere near orbit. To get in orbit you need to get about 70,000 feet. Because I haven't left us any fuel, we're going to plump straight into the ocean.
Like a dart again.
I think I was too concerned about...
Well, I suppose, I mean, once we get into orbit, we can just open up the other canister, and that's pretty good going,
that's fine.
frankly.
I mean, we're going to hit space in a second, so we'll open up the second canister. And then get a little bit more science.
Go. And that music kicks in as kind of like an audio cue, doesn't it?
It does. So 10 science there. We'll get a crew report, and then I'm going to go out and do a little spacewalk and try and get a report from orbit.
Now, every time I've tried to do this before, he's always just kind of drifted off into space, and it was only actually when we were kind of messing around last week when I was ill. We weren't doing any recording. We had like a couple of hours messing around, didn't we?
Now, I think I've got the hang of it, so I'm going to detach him from there. I'm going to be floating away from it.
Does he really need to be floating in order to do his...
Activate the jetpack. He doesn't, but, you know, I'm pretty confident with the jetpack these days. I think. Right, there we go. Up a bit, up a bit, up a bit. And grab on.
That was fucking wicked.
Piece of cake. And he's come off again. Jetpack back on. Drop down a little bit. Grab hold. No, drop up a little bit. You said it was wicked. It's all going wrong. Reline to the front. There we go. Fantastic. So
we needed to do an EVA. Oh, did we actually do an EVA report?
Yeah,
I wasn't even paying attention. Sorry.
I did an EVA report before he even let go. So all that remains now is to wait for us to come crashing down to Earth, because we have no fuel left, so we are completely and utterly helpless.
It looks as though he's properly bricking it as well. I don't think he appreciated your EVA skills there.
We'll get a Kerbal eye view. So that's what he can see inside his cockpit. Now, I hear some people can navigate like this, but it just seems absolutely ridiculous to me.
Yeah,
that's probably why he's bricking it, because he sees that below him. He knows he's going to head into it.
I've seen Half from HOC Gaming, I believe, was he's about to start doing a series where he's going to be flying everything, possibly with mods, I don't know, but he's going to be flying everything inside of his capsules, and I've seen the test run. Likewise, Scott Manley, about, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago, put up a video where he actually managed to get himself into orbit blindfold. It was like watching like a Vietnam vet just like field stripping like an AK-47 in 15 seconds with a blindfold. So yeah, we'll not be doing anything anywhere near as talented as that, I don't think.
While we're up here, we'll have a quick look at the solar system. So this is the sort of map navigation view, which shows you your sort of projected trajectory and things like that. You can control it from here. You can bring up the nav ball and do a few manoeuvres and whatnot if you need to. The reason I suggested coming up towards the sort of 90-degree angle on this nav board is because it gives you this sort of straight line trajectory, which you can see matches this straight line trajectory in the background.
Which is that
which,
the
if
moon?
we zoom out, is the orbit of Mun, or the first moon of Kerbal.
I think it should have an umlaut over the U to make it
Moon.
That would make it moon. That would do the trick.
That's Minimus, or Minmus, which is the second moon of Kerbal.
Never been there.
Never been there. And then if we zoom out, I mean, you can actually get to all of these locations. Apparently some of them are a bit dodgy to land on in the current build, but there are some mad things out there. I mean, I can barely get to Mun with decent equipment, so I don't know how you'd even get to the next nearest planet.
This is going to turn into like a 50,000 part series where we'll just keep doing this, isn't it? I mean, effectively, we've got very little hope of this actually, achieving the outcome of what we've set out at the start of this video, really.
We'll get there. Right, I think I'm going to speed things up, since there's very little left to do here, so...
You need to stop, it gives you the clue and writing across the screen in massive letters on your TV there.
Yeah, it wouldn't let me do it because I had the engines turned on, even though there was nothing in them. It doesn't like that. Yeah. Apparently using physics warp can affect the structural stability of the vessel. We don't want to go too quick. This is quick enough, we'll be down in no time. We'll start speeding up pretty quick.
I suppose we've went from socket rocket to pocket rocket now that it's a little dinky little thing. Now we'll decouple the rest of it.
Well, I'm actually fairly confident about this this craft. I think next time we just need to keep our eye on the nav map a bit more to see what sort of trajectory we're going up in. I'll fire the parachute off now.
Really?
Well, it doesn't deploy until you're at 500 feet anyway.
I'm sure that's not sensible, surely. I mean, like, deploying your parachute while you're still burning, coming through the atmosphere, cannot be a clever idea.
It won't be a clever idea in future builds, but at the moment, the flame effect is just there for effect, basically. It doesn't actually have any gameplay impact. There's no structural destabilization from coming in, unless of course you use a mod. There's plenty of mods out there add things like that.
It just ripped off. There you go. See what's happened. Bill's dead now. Kill Bill. Right.
Why did it do that? Was it too heavy? I don't know.
Fuck knows.
Maybe I did deploy it too early. Okay, Bill's dead. Never mind.
Bill's dead, and all that science that we got is now at the bottom of the ocean.
Abort.
We're not aborting. If that doesn't happen, we'll go back.
No. We go back to the space center. We're not reverting. We're going back to the space.
That's
center.
okay. Then, as long as Bill is definitely 100% dead.
Bill is 100% dead.
We've killed Bill. Right.